Assalamu alaikum, dear students of class 10th. Welcome to the e-learning class of Forward Public School. I am your teacher Hubru, and you know very well that I will teach you chemistry. Today we will start the second chapter of your book, that is acids, bases and salts. In this chapter, we will first study different concepts related to acids and bases proposed by some renowned scientists. So the first concept we are going to discuss is named as Arrhenius concept of acids and bases. Students, keep holding a notebook and a pen and try to note down all the important points you get from my lecture. So now, before starting the topic, let's first talk about the basic general view of acids and bases. First point is, an acid is any non-metal oxide or hydroxide that reacts with the base to produce salt and water, which means that an acid contains a non-metal atom with a combined oxygen or hydroxide, that is OH, and this acid, when reacts with a base, it forms salt and water. Similarly, base is any metal oxide or hydroxide that reacts with an acid to produce salt and water, which means base contains metal atom combined with oxygen or OH, and it reacts with an acid to form salt and water. Wow, interesting. Both acid and base have a very good affection for each other. Now come to the second point. The word acid was derived from a Latin word acidus, which means sour, because mostly natural acids have sour taste. In contrast, bases have bitter taste and feel soapy. The second point of base is the base which is soluble in water is called as alkali. Now, point to ponder is all bases are not soluble in water, so all the bases are not alkalis. But yes, all the alkalis are definitely the bases. Third point is already explained. Fourth point is about litmus paper. So first understand what is litmus paper. It is a type of paper which by changing its color indicates that the solution is either acidic or basic. There are two types of litmus papers, that is blue and red. When we dip blue litmus paper in acidic solution, that blue litmus paper turns red. And when we dip red litmus paper in basic solution, that red litmus paper turns blue. You can see in the diagram. Fifth point is about pH paper. Now, what is pH paper? You will get its detailed answer in the next lectures, but for now, understand that pH paper is also an acid-base indicator. It changes its color when it is dipped in any acidic or basic solution. For example, pH paper turns red when it is dipped in vinegar solution. Vinegar is acidic. And pH paper turns blue when it is dipped in sodium hydroxide solution. Sodium hydroxide is a base. Sixth point is aqueous solution of both acids and bases are good conductors of electricity. So dear students, the term like aqueous solution is already explained to you in your 9th grade. Hopefully you are understanding it now. Seventh point and the last point is strong acids and bases are very corrosive. Corrosive means they can cause damage to your skin if you touch them. These are the clear pictures of litmus paper and pH paper and how they are changing their colors in acidic and basic solutions. Let's start our main topic, that is Arrhenius concept of acids and bases. It was introduced by a Swedish chemist, Svante Arrhenius. He put forward a theory of acids and bases in 1884, and he explained that aqueous solution of acids and bases can conduct electricity by producing ions in aqueous solution, which means that when acids and bases are dissolved in water, they produce ions, and because of those ions, they can conduct electricity. Let's begin with Arrhenius' concept of acids. According to Arrhenius, an acid is a chemical substance that dissociates or ionizes in aqueous solution to give hydrogen ions. Means any species on dissolving in water producing hydrogen ions will be termed as an acid according to Arrhenius. Let's understand it more by watching this general reaction in which Ha means any acid, which when dissolved in aqueous solution is producing positive and negative ions, and this positive ion is hydrogen ion. Let's see some examples. HCl means hydrochloric acid in aqueous solution is producing hydrogen ions and chloride ions. Similarly, H2SO4 on dissolving in water producing hydrogen ions and HSO4 minus ions. HNO3 nitric acid on dissolving in water producing hydrogen ions and nitrate ions. Acetic acid CH3COH on dissolving in water producing hydrogen ions and acetate ions. As all these chemical substances are producing hydrogen ions in aqueous solution, that's why these all chemical substances are termed as Arrhenius acids. Now, what was the concept of Arrhenius about base? It was a base is a chemical species or a substance that dissociates or ionizes in aqueous solution to give hydroxide ions. Means any substance on dissolving in water producing hydroxide ions will be termed as a base according to Arrhenius. Let's understand this by a general reaction. BOH means any base. In aqueous solution, BOH ionizes into positive and negative ions. The negative ion is hydroxide ion. Let's see some examples. Sodium hydroxide in aqueous solution produces sodium ion and hydroxide ion. Potassium hydroxide in aqueous solution produces potassium ion and hydroxide ion. Magnesium hydroxide in aqueous solution produces magnesium ion and hydroxide ion. Ammonium hydroxide in aqueous solution produces ammonium ion and hydroxide ions. As all these chemical substances are producing hydroxide ions in aqueous solution, so all these chemical substances are termed as bases according to Arrhenius. You can see in the diagram sodium hydroxide in aqueous solution dissociates or splits up into sodium ion and hydroxide ion. Here comes the difference between Arrhenius acid and Arrhenius base. Arrhenius base in aqueous solution produces hydroxide ion, while Arrhenius acid in aqueous solution produces hydrogen ion. In short, Arrhenius acids give H plus ions in water, while Arrhenius bases gives OH minus ions in the water. But there are some drawbacks or limitations of Arrhenius concept. First one is it is only limited to aqueous media, means according to Arrhenius, we can only understand that a chemical substance is acid or a base when we dissolve it in water. It does not explain the acidic or basic nature of substances in gaseous medium or in non-aqueous medium. Second drawback is it is only limited to H plus and OH minus ions, means we cannot understand the acidic or basic nature of those substances which do not have H plus or OH minus ions at all. For example, carbon dioxide is acidic in nature, but carbon dioxide doesn't have H plus ion at all. So Arrhenius failed to recognize it as an acid. Similarly, ammonia NH3 is basic in nature but it doesn't have OH minus ion, so Arrhenius failed to recognize it as a base. Another thing was hydronium ion. Arrhenius thought that an acid gives off H plus ion in aqueous solution. As you have learned earlier that H plus ions are protons, means hydrogen ion after losing its one electron is only left with a single proton in its nucleus. So it cannot exist independently. It immediately reacts with another water molecule and forms H3O+. This H3O+ is called as hydronium ion. So this is another limitation of the Arrhenius theory, that the acid on dissociation produces hydronium ion, not a single proton. Students, this is the end of our today's topic, that is Arrhenius concept of acids and bases. See you in the next lecture. Goodbye.